Okay, hello everybody. I don't know if anybody's going to join me or not. I got the day off. The kids are in school. It is pouring down rain outside. And I have all of these goodies from the show. So I was going to play around and see what we got. Hi, Cindy. Thank you for keeping me company. Wow, there are quite a few of you jumping on here very quickly. Wow. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Cheryl. Just saying, it's like pouring down rain outside, and both kids are at school. So I was thinking about all these new goodies. So we're around, and I made this card yesterday with this penny black stamp. This is called Adornments. And it has this kind of watercolory look. But I was like, I bet I can mass produce a couple of Christmas cards out of this. So this one I made yesterday. And this was really easy. I stamped it out with distress guides. And this is on Tim Holtz watercolor paper on the smooth side. And then after I stamped it out, I took a paintbrush and I just went around the edges and let that water kind of sop out. And that's it. Pretty easy to do. Bonnie, I am so sick of this rain. I said my boat has seen more water in it than it being in the water this year. All right, so I'm going to see if I can do 4 cards real quick with this stamp set. I'm not going to recreate this one, but we're going to see what we can do here. So the first thing I need to do is, you guys know, we got to do one with the alcohol lifting. So we're going to make our alcohol panel real quick. I don't know that I want to do it in red and green because I think it'll get too muddied. What do you think? How about we do it in non-traditional colors? No, I don't want to do purple and pink because I've done purple and pink too. I don't know. I'm just going to lay down some colors here. I did get a new green yesterday. Where's my new green at? Let's see here. Here it is, botanical. Maybe we'll just do some greens and then see how it turns out. And this is the Tim Holtz Yupo paper. That is a very bright green. We'll add some citrus to that. This is a much brighter green. We need some blending solution. We got to get this thing moving around. There we go. Let's see here. Some meadow. I don't have like a deep green, so guess I'll have. So when I went to the stamp show yesterday, I'm like halfway there and I realized I forgot my inventory book. So I'm like freaking out because I'm like, I know I needed some alcohol ink colors. There was some other things that I needed. I'm like, I don't have my inventory book. So I was really afraid of buying anything because I was afraid I was going to buy like doubles. So I didn't buy too many things because I felt weird without my little inventory book. Lesson learned. All right, I'm just going to take a straw and blow this around. Some nice bright greens in there. I'm going to grab a scrap piece of foil. Hold on a second. So it's not going to take very long at all, but this is going to get nice and sticky. I'm going to throw a little blue in here just to switch it up a little bit. Oh, I can't get this off. Oops. My little buddy turns 12 today, so I'm going to pick him up from school and take him out for a nice dinner. Although it's kind of easy. Look at that. That's the flakes from the alcohol ink just popping off of there. It's kind of easier now because he's older, so he's like, just give me money. I'm like, okay. All right, I'm not going to mess with that too much. Actually, I'm going to grab another piece of Yupo because there's a lot of ink on here, and we're going to do a double print here. You want to keep your Yupo in the packaging and try not to get it all dusty and fingered up because it'll get all sticky, and then the dust will settle on it, and then it won't transfer the ink as well. All right. I know that looks like a little bit of a hot mess, but we're going to fix it. There's a lot of ink on there. I really did too much. And this is just blending solution I'm dabbing on there. And you don't want to really take a heat tool to it. You can from an angle to dry it off a little faster. But again, that's synthetic paper, so it's plastic, so it will melt and kind of curl up if you do that. So if you do that, just make sure you're keeping it at a distance. I am looking for my ink daubers. Here we go. Get one of these out. Yeah, this is definitely, it's getting sticky now. I can see it. So at this point, it is almost ready. If you wanted to do the foiling technique, it's getting really close. We're probably not that far away. If you wanted to add foiling to it. Bonnie, how are you feeling? How are you healing up from your surgery? Yes. Not there yet, almost. I think I'm going to use this for another background. I think I'm going to make a fishing card with this one too. So here's a question for you guys. Do you guys make Halloween cards? I make fall cards. I make Christmas cards. I don't really make too many Halloween cards. I might make one for my kids, but that's about it. I don't really see Halloween as a card making holiday. Hello, Nancy. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be playing around with this penny black adornments stamp. I'm making, just real quick, I'm making some alcohol Yupo backgrounds here. I'm waiting for it to get to that tacky stage where we can put some foil down on it. We're just about there, and then we'll, yeah, not there yet. See, it lifted the ink up. Close, getting close. I like how this models it and then it spreads. This will be a really cool underwater scene. So this is just some Yupo paper and some alcohol inks. Yeah, I don't really make Halloween cards, but I bought these Halloween stamps yesterday. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to make Halloween cards. All right. This is getting there. I know, patience is not my virtue. This one might be there. I think this one looks a little tackier. Let's see here. Nope, not yet. Close. Getting close. I think another like 30 seconds and we'll be there. almost. That's pretty cool how that's drying. You can see the layers in the alcohol ink and where it could stick. So it's just a real subtle hint. Who doesn't love foil? Foil, 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 everything. All right, now it's getting sticky. Let me do this one over here too. Oh, I think we missed the boat on this one. I think this one is dry. But this was the one that we pulled off, so it didn't have as much ink on it. That's okay. It's okay. It's all right. All right, so now we have our backgrounds ready. I'm just going to move these out of the way a second just so I can clean up underneath the mat here. And just get regular rubbing alcohol for that. Hello, Pamela. Hi, Wilda. Yes, it's a terrible rainy day. I stand at the bus stop with my daughter holding an umbrella over her. It was freezing cold out. I mean, a couple days ago, they're out there in shorts, and today all the little kids are out there in long pants and jackets. Okay, so it's pretty easy cleanup. And I'm going to cut this panel just in half. Cindy, I am in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. So I believe these are 7, so I'm going to cut it down to 3.5. These are 5 by 7 sheets, so I'm going to cut it down to 3.5. All right, so I already have my mini Misty with the stamp position, and I have a piece of regular Nina Solar White in there. Sorry, guys, I have stuff all over. This is still tacky. Let's see if I can get some more foil on here. All right, we're good. All right, so have the stamp mounted, have a regular piece of Nina Solar White. When you're using your Misty, because it's a red rubber stamp, you want to make sure you remove that foam piece underneath. So I know this panel is a little smaller. I'm just going to move this down a little bit. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the alcohol lift ink. Let me clean my stamp off. It's stained from yesterday's stamping. Although my ink pad's already kind of stained, and it's fine. Doesn't affect it at all. So you can see there. What we're going to do here is stamp it on the Yupo paper first and lift that alcohol. Set that aside and then immediately stamp down onto the Nina. Look at that. That's so cool. So that one's done. We can set that one aside. Clean up our stamp. All right, and then here is the alcohol one. We're just going to set this aside for a second to let that dry a little bit. Grab a paper towel and dab some of that off of there. And then once it's all dry, then you're okay to rub it. If you rub it while it's still wet, you're going to end up making these streak marks in your design. So if you have any fine areas like down here, you could rub that out of there. But this is a pretty solid stamp. So I think that looks pretty cool. What do you guys think? That's okay, Dee. I understand. All right, so we have already Distress ink stamped this. This was the first one I showed. So Distress ink stamped it, Distress oxide stamped it, and then took a brush and then just pulled some water out of the edges. And then this is the alcohol lift ink. And then this is the print from it. I got my fingerprint in there. All right, so we're going to set those aside to dry. Okay, and we have our Misty ready to go. And I have some paper pre-cut already. Make sure my stamp is nice and clean. So I was thinking, let's do some on dark cardstock. So this is just some Night and Navy dark blue cardstock. This is from Stampin' Up. Hi, Pia from Denmark. Make sure this is where I want it. I think I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it down a little bit because I want to be able to put my sentiment on the top. Okay, so for this one, we're going to ink it up with some Versamark. And I'm bringing in some Perfect Pearls. Slide this out of the way. All right. So I know it's hard for you guys to see. There's a little bit of a glare there, but it is stamped with Perfect Pearls. And I'm going to use some of the metallic colors. So I have Sunflower Sparkle. Actually, no. We're going to use Perfect Gold. I think we'll do metallic colors. Exactly, Dee. I'll put some sequins over that. My little fingerprint there. I love using Perfect Pearls on dark cardstock. I think they're so pretty. So that one was gold. Perfect Gold. And then I have... Let's do like a silver. Do I have silver? A pewter. Pretty close. We'll try that one. Now I'm going to go all the way to this one on the right because if you look at the drawing, it looks like this one is in front of the one in the middle. So I want to make sure that this color goes on first. And then the last one we'll do in like this copper color, Perfect Copper. Bucks County, that's not too far from me. Okay. So we're just using some perfect pearls here to give it some color. And I did gold, copper, and pewter. And just going to take my paper towel again. You could also use, actually I have a Swiffer here. We'll use the Swiffer because the Swiffer is a little more gentle and it will pick up all those stray pieces. How's that look? And then all of these, I'll just do some kind of a sentiment in the corner, mount them on a card, and we'll be done. So that one looks pretty cool, I think. And staying with the theme of dark colors, I'm going to put another piece of that dark navy cardstock in there. Slide my magnet over it. Man, this magnet is like really sticking it out because the foam mat's not in there. So it's being an aggressive magnet. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to ink it up again in Versamark. This time we're going to do heat embossing, but we're going to be using embossing powder with glitter in it. So this is called embossing tinsel. This is by Ranger. So I have red, I have green, and I have gold. And this is some super sparkly embossing powder. So we're going to do this a little differently because we have 3 different colors. I'm getting 3 coffee filters out. Okay, so for this one, let me clean off my stamp again. We are going to do them one at a time because I don't want that embossing powder mixing. So we're going to start with this big guy in the front. And just taking my Versamark, and I'm going to take my anti-static tool before I forget. This is just cornstarch. Okay, so we're going to do this big guy in the front, and I can see where he kind of like where this end of him goes. I'm just inking that up. That's where this Misty comes in handy. All right, so we're going to take that off of there. And I'm going to do the lightest color first, which will be the gold. And just do this front guy here, trying to stay within his little ornament. And remember, this has that kind of watercolored look, so you're not going to have complete full coverage. That's okay. So that looks pretty good right there. Dump this back in the jar. All right, let me get the heat tool. It's going to get a little loud for a second. D, turn the volume down. We don't want your boss hearing this. Okay, and we're going to put it back in the corner of the Misty here. And I'm going to ink up the one. Actually, we could do the other two. Careful here. Because they're not like right next to each other. And that Versamark ink stays pretty wet for a while. Okay, so the one next to the gold, I'm going to do in green. And I'm just going to hold my paper so that Versamark, or so the extra embossing powder falls downward. If I hold it this way, it'll go into the gold. And if I hold it this way, it'll go into the red. So I'm going to hold it so that the embossing powder falls down and doesn't go into any of those other 2 areas. So that looks pretty good there. And we can do the red one at the same time. Dee says she has her earphones in, so she doesn't have to worry about my loud mouth. All right, so same thing with the red. We're going to hold our cardstock so that the red falls down off of the paper. These are very, very glittery, pretty embossing powders. All right, and I want to be careful to put these away right away because I don't want them mixing and getting everywhere. I mean, if you wanted to be extra careful, you would heat one at a time. I do have a little extra on here. I'm going to just kind of shake that off. Okay, and now we're going to heat it again. Thinking maybe I should have did that on white cardstock because it's hard to see the glitter on those other two. Again, just going through with the Swiffer, taking off that extra anti-static tool. I think that would have been better on white cardstock, but it's still pretty. So we did alcohol inks, we did perfect pearls, we did regular stamping. What else can we do? Oh, I know one we didn't try. I got one more we can try, guys. Hold on. Because this doesn't have such a straight look. Hold on, gotta clean off some of the desk here. I think some of you already know where I'm going with this. We have one more we didn't do yet. Any guesses? You got it, Dee. We did not do foiling yet. So, I gotta admit, I haven't done this method in a while. So you guys are gonna see it live. I'm heating up the Mink. On number 3 there, so we're gonna let that warm up. We are going to stamp this out and heat emboss it. So we're gonna do the heat embossing method. I will admit, I don't like to do this with foiling because when you do a stamped image and do foiling with the heat embossing method, it comes out kind of bumpy because of the heat embossing. So this image is perfect because it's not a perfectly clear image. It's a watercolored, very artsy looking image. So I think we can get away with it with not making it perfectly foiled. So, if that makes sense, it's not as smooth of a design. So I'm going to go back in with my Versamark ink again. And again, just using a regular piece of white cardstock. Anti-static tool. You can ink, Wilda, over the embossing. I wouldn't recommend inking over glitter because the glitter just kind of gets everywhere. Obviously, I didn't do a very good job of cleaning my stamp, but oh well. You could do it over regular embossing, though, and yes, it would show up more. Like an embossing resist. This is Clear Icicle from Brutus Monroe. Let's see, we got some other ideas there. Tone on tone stamping with clear gloss and embossing powder. Yes. Yeah, that would look good. All right, so I'm going to, where's my Swiffer? We need to clean this up. We can't have any stray bits when we're doing foiling because it will ruin the foiling. All right, we're going to heat this up quick. Okay, so this is what I wanted. I know it's hard for you guys to see, but the stamp itself is a textured stamp. So when you add that heat embossing, do you see the divots there? It's not completely smooth, and that's because the stamp is not designed to be smooth. So your heat embossing is not smooth. That, when you go to do foiling, is going to be accentuated by the foil. So if you want a completely smooth image, I don't recommend doing heat embossing on foiling. There are some other methods. Honestly, I haven't found one that's 100% that makes the foiling look super good. Unless you photocopy it and print it out on toner. That's a lot of work. All right, so before we foil, you always want to make sure your area, your image is completely dust-free. And I think just to save on time, and because these two are right next to each other, we're going to do one color of foil. So I think we're going to go traditional here and go with a bright red. And this is called Ruby Slippers. Okay, here we go. Because it has all those little cracks and crevices, it's a little harder to clean the stamp. I have a little stamp scrubby from Stampin' Up! And also I have one from Close to My Heart, which is like a little brush. You can really get in there and clean the stamps good. I know you guys want to see this. We want to let it cool down a second. Patience, patience, patience. When it comes to foiling, you have to let it cool down. You could do that D. It's a little difficult with foil because foil is such a fine product, like in terms of density, that if it's not completely touching that area, it leaves a line. So even when you're doing multiple color foiling, there's a line there. So I try, if there's something really close to each other and there's no way to distinguish the two, I usually just do one color. We'll see how this turns out. It might just muddle all together and look funny. And we might have to do two colors just to draw that line in there, but it will show a line where you've masked it. All right, here we go. See, this is what I hate about foiling. So the foil, what happens is the heat embossing melts. And as it melts, it kind of liquefies. And so that's what the foil sticks to. So This is why I hate doing stamping on foiling. I have not found a perfect method yet for this. So I'm going to call this a fail. It looks like kids melted crayon on there. And if you're into that kind of artsy look. So this is a card, honestly, I would not use. So it's, what do we got? We got 3 methods and 1 fail. So we have the failed foiling. We have the glitter embossing. We have the perfect pearls. We have 2 from the alcohol inks. And then we have the original stamped and watercolored image there. So these 4 now, all I will do with them is I will put some sentiments on them. I'll put some sequins on them. I'll mount them on cards. And I have 4 cards that are all ready to go. Right? Not bad, Cheryl. And we only did it in 36 minutes. I don't think that's too bad. And we messed around with a whole bunch of different things too. So if you were doing mass producing, you could bang these out really easily with using the alcohol lift ink. I mean, you're making 2 at a time. And a lot of times you can even pull another print. So you could do 3 at a time. So it makes it really easy when you're doing, especially this time of year when we're trying to build up our Christmas card stash. That alcohol lift ink is going to come in pretty handy for that. So there you go. I mean, you might want to do the glitter ones. I think this would have looked really cool if it was on white paper. I think the dark paper, I overestimated how bright the glitter would be. And I think it would have been much better on white paper. But now I know if I'm going to do it again. Although the Perfect Pearls ones came out really neat. I think this really looks hand-drawn and looks like somebody colored it in. So that one came out pretty cool. But yeah, the alcohol ink ones are going to be my favorite. So there we go, guys. I'm going to play around with some more stuff. As always, if you have any questions, post them down below. Thank you guys again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Try to stay dry. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.